with us a little bit around kind of the sectors that are priority sectors, the sectors that are particularly important for us as a Gauteng city region and a province?
Thank you. I think the first one, which is quite close to all of us and we've discussed, is advanced manufacturing and the automotive sector. For example, as GGDA, we've got AIDC, which is or even TASES in Tshwane, which is one of our SEZs, where a lot of the cars that you see on the roads are manufactured there, where Ford is. We also had Nissan there, but in the not so distant future, we are going to also have Cherry. So the automotive sector becomes quite important. Mining beneficiation. Yes, Gauteng no longer produces gold as it was, Joburg was known many years ago, but beneficiation and turning those minerals to end products. Marcus spoke about GIDZ at Oaratambo, where we manufacture jewelry. Again, it's the sectors that are going to create jobs, but the sectors of the future. But also there's great industrialization as well, where we focused on renewable energy, hydro, batteries, etc., etc. So all in all, our sectors that we look at, it's 12. As I've said, that we are going to launch our master plan, economic master plan for Gauteng, and we are looking at those 12 sectors.
Beautiful. Ambassador, let me throw the same question to you and really reflect on Tunisia. Give us a sense of the economy, some of the sectors that are particularly interesting to look at from a Tunisian economy perspective.
Thank you so much for giving me the opportunity to talk not only about economic diplomacy, because I will switch a little bit to talk about another topic that I think is very interesting, and it can be, I think, included during the big event on the 9th of April. It's about science diplomacy. We have to talk about science diplomacy. You can at least, think about what's the meaning of science diplomacy. Just, it's very easy, is to connect, for example, universities, researchers, working on topics that are crucial, such as water, how about climate change. Let's see, for example, the weather today. And I feel like here in South Africa, we didn't even have a summer, right?
Yeah.
So, I think science
especially
diplomacy...
compared to Tunisian summers, eh?
Sure, at 100%. So I think, yes, economic diplomacy is crucial, especially when we want to do business. But just, think about the future generation. When you talk about science diplomacy, you will find climate change. You have to talk about renewable energy. Who is working on renewable energy for that, so that we can do business on renewable energy, on solar energy, and so on. So I think one of the main topics that I worked on that during these two past years is to try to see what's going on actually with universities. And I'm very happy and proud to say, for example, we do work a lot with the University of Johannesburg, with UG, and the University of Manar in Tunis, to talk about AI. Artificial intelligence is crucial. And I'm sure that during the event, the Gauteng event, big event, a big part will be dedicated, right, to robotics, to things that's going on, actually to IT societies that can get in touch with each other to talk about the future, because this will be the future. Everything will be automative, I don't know how to say it in English, but we have to be ready. And I think that keeping a space in all our events, even if we are talking about economic diplomacy or how to do business with small, medium enterprises, space must be dedicated to AI, to artificial intelligence, to the future. And that's why I say, okay, we can talk about economic diplomacy, but we have also to talk about science diplomacy. I think it will be the future.
Beautiful. Andrea, the ambassador talks about science diplomacy, and you're a faculty at a business school here. Tell me a little bit around, and you've also done lots of work in the area of corporate finance, a little bit around your experiences with economic diplomacy and science diplomacy.
Well, I think I wear two hats. On the one hand, as faculty of Gibbs, and focusing on the learning experience of students, the lived experience. So taking students outside of the classroom into different environments outside of their usual scope. So across industries, across countries, on the one hand, and on the other, from a commercial perspective, with a background in private equity and investment, the focus there has been very much on raising capital, international capital for South Africa and for countries in South Africa. And I think two things resonated from the conversations this morning. One being how Gauteng is the hub into the continent. And from an investor's perspective, that is an incredibly interesting investment mandate. However, if you have not stepped foot on this continent, you feel so foreign and removed and are so deeply influenced by what you might have picked up in the media or reading something that it is, even if you're a professor at Harvard, right? You can have a distinctly different experience than what reality presents. So from a diplomacy perspective, the importance on collaboration and a lived experience, getting your feet on the ground in a country, speaking to people, incredibly powerful to raise capital on the one hand from a commercial perspective, and then on the second, the lived experience and the learning experience that comes from that exposure.
Brilliant. And maybe talk to me a little bit around, I know you took a number of MBA students to Amsterdam a few months ago. Talk to me a little bit around what that looked like and felt like in terms of understanding, as an example, the Amsterdam economy.
Yeah, great question. And you know, the students' experience and what they take away is often very different to what they think they're going to learn. On a micro, let's start from maybe from a macro perspective. The history that influences culture and that influences the way a nation approaches problem solving. So just out of interest sake, Amsterdam, 26% of the country is actually below the waterline. And what that means is 60% of the country is susceptible to severe flooding. And so in the 1950s, they had severe floods. And what that prompted is a deep collaboration. It highlighted to the students how sometimes incredibly adverse events inspire innovation and collaboration, because these are problems that are beyond the scope of an individual to solve. They require the collaboration of a nation across industries to solve a broad existential problem. So in that way, students can get an insight into the art of the possible, that even when you've got a history that is fraught with challenges, that collaboration and problem solving can inspire innovation via engineering solutions and the like, that now has repositioned the country entirely.
Brilliant. And Khotso, I mean, building on Andrea's point, Gauteng's also got some interesting examples of innovation. I reference Gautrain as an example. Talk to me a little bit around some that you've seen and the exposure around really interesting SMEs or technology firms or organizations that are really driving maybe innovation within their sector.
So let's start with in-house. We've got the Innovation Hub, which is part of GGDA, it's in Pretoria. It's about innovation, where SMMEs with innovative solutions come there and pilot their projects. One, it allows them quicker to access to market, but also it allows them to be closer to a lot of mentors that are going to help them scale the product. Remember, for us to grow the economy, the small business need to grow at scale. Sooner, the better. And with Innovation Hub, that's the work that's being done to bring people in there with ideas, and from ideas also implement the technology. We want to do it at speed, at scale, and that's one example that I can give. The Gautrain is a perfect example. I mean, we had a meeting last week at the Gautrain offices in Midrand, right? The successes that they've achieved in terms of, one, it was groundbreaking project, but also for it to continue to be running for so many years and continuing with the future to say, we want to expand it beyond just it being linking the suburbs, but also to go beyond that. So innovation continues to take place in Gauteng. It's a priority sector, and one of those is we've got it in-house with the Innovation Hub.
Beautiful. Ambassador, talk to me a little bit. I mean, you've had an incredible career from Paris to New York to Prague to Pretoria. You've had a great career in terms of driving political diplomacy, economic diplomacy, science diplomacy. Talk to me about what you found has really worked. When diplomacy really creates massive enabling factors.
What a tough question. Sorry. I think we were talking out of the stage about our diplomatic career. So we had the opportunity to travel a lot, and to also get in touch with a lot of people and especially colleagues that have another vision of economic diplomacy. It depends. I was in France. I was based in France. Had the opportunity also to go to New York to work with our permanent mission there. And I have also, and I always share this experience. I shared the adoption of the Agenda 2030 with its 17 Sustainable Development Goals. It was a big day. I was there. I was in the room, and I can tell you, all the countries. We were more than 190 countries, and then we believed that yes, we can achieve the 17 Sustainable Development Goals, but seems like no, it's not easy. It's even a little bit difficult. And sometimes when I'm joking with some colleagues and the ambassador of Gabon is here to say, okay, we do have in Africa our sustainable development agenda. It's 2063. We feel like we are more pragmatic than the UN. So it takes time. It takes time to achieve a lot of what we want for our continent and what we want for our people. And I had also the opportunity to work in Czech Republic, and I saw that they are very pragmatic as people, especially talking about economic diplomacy, as we are talking about economic diplomacy. And I can share with you an experience. I witnessed that they organized each year a big event. They invite all their economic counselors all over the world, and then they choose a topic. A specific topic. It can be, I don't know, it can be how to promote Prague as a touristic destination, or let's talk about, say, pharmaceutical products and so on. So then they spend like nearly 3 days only talking about how to promote that topic all around the world. And each country has a specificity. You cannot, for example, sell, I don't know, these products in Europe like you can do it in Africa or in Asia. So this is what we call economic diplomacy, a smart economic diplomacy, how to promote your product wisely. I can share the Tunisian experience. For example, I can tell you, we are a touristic destination. We received in 2025 more than 10 million tourists. So it's a huge number. And do you know something? When we promote Tunisia as a touristic destination, it's not the same spots if it's for Scandinavian country, if it's for Africa, or it's for North America. We choose the right spots that attract the Scandinavian tourist and then the European one, and so on, so on, so. So different spots, different ways to communicate, and different ways to promote. Being in diplomacy, you know what, gives you, I think, the opportunity to know more people, especially when you are in New York. You have more than 190 nationalities. Sometimes you find yourself with some very nice and unusual, like-minded group. One of my best friends is from Samoa. I cannot tell you where is Samoa located, but I can find it. But he is one of my best friends. And we are still in touch. We still share some ideas, some thoughts, and especially what's going on actually in the Middle East, what's going on in the Security Council. Multilateralism does matters or not. These are some topics that we have to talk about and then share together. But when talking about economic diplomacy, we all share the same, I think, issue and the same problem. How can we promote wisely and in a smart way Tunisia, for example, as a touristic destination, as a place to be, to do business, and as a place, also as an attractive place to visit and to come and to see what's going on. What we are doing actually in Tunisia, it's not only to promote ourselves, it's easy. I'm the best, you can do a lot of money with us, it's nice, please come in Tunisia, it's a sunny day today. No. We always try to be the bridge. I can give you an example. In few days, we do have what we call a Tunisian African Business Council. They are organizing a big event. It's FITA, Foreign Investment Trade Event. It's to put together a lot of African countries that are interested to do business. We are located next to Europe. You know, to go to Rome, it's less than 1 hour. You can go to Rome and you are in Rome from Tunis, just to give you an idea how the proximity with Europe. So he said, okay, Enis Jaziri, he's the CEO of the ABC, he said, okay, I'll bring a lot of African countries, French-speaking and English-speaking countries. They will come to Tunisia and they will do business together, not only with Tunisia. We are not so selfish. We are nice people, right? And sometimes they invite, we do have some guest countries. For example, for this year, Canada will be the guest country. So Canadian can come, do B2B with other African countries from Nigeria, Burkina Faso, from Gabon, from a lot of other countries, not only with Tunisia, and then we do have some side events.
I'll reflect on two personal examples. In the work I do, become very close to members of the diplomatic community, and the Consul General from India in 2010 was Randir Jaiswal, and he's gone on to do very interesting work, become ambassador in various countries, and now he's the spokesperson of the Indian government. And when he was here for the G20 summit, he said to me, Abdullah, for 81 hours, but I have to meet with you. And I said, well, the security, and it's hard. And he made a special effort to get through all of the security to come to my house for a meal. And every time I go to Delhi, I spend time with his friends and with his family because that's what it does. It creates that. And another example I'll give you is I have an ambassador, a very weird habit of cutting my hair every week. And my barber is Tunisian by descent. And every week I go there, he tells me, you must go to Tunisia. You go everywhere across the world. And last week, Sunday, he convinced me to go to Tunisia. And that's another way in which economic diplomacy and tourism starts to come together. Brilliant. One of the things, Khotso, that the ambassador spoke about is obviously the trade agreements. Talk to me a little bit around some of the plans for the investment conference.
The chief executive has challenged us and said, we sign these MOUs every 12 months or every whenever. What are you doing with it?
Yeah.
What delegations are you doing? What business is happening? So as a layer beyond just signing, it's good to go and sign and celebrate. But as part of the conference, and that is why even the MEC insisted that we need to have the presence of the African countries, African ambassadors with their businesses to say, we need to move with speed. Just to give you an example of the work that we did, in 2025, there's a concept piece that we wrote which we wanted that we need to trade together. And that concept piece was presented with the Dean of Ambassadors, and we had an interesting call where most of the ambassadors were on the call, and we presented the idea and said, we need to also trade city to city. It's good to say we need to push country to country, but also city to city. Trade happens here among the cities, and big cities and small cities across the continent need to trade with one another. And the work that we are going to do in the conference, one, strengthen on those MOEs, but also act and implement those MOEs. As I said, as part of our KPIs is that what are we doing with it? And in the conference, that's what we are looking at. And that is why you'll see as perhaps the conference documents come out, we want to also have a plenary discussion around how we increase trade, how we also have the African ambassadors and countries represented in those plenaries to ensure that we discuss, not only discuss, but also implement beyond just the talk shop or maybe the investment conference.
Beautiful. Andrea, let me end with you. I mean, you do lots of work in the business sector. In your view, what can the diplomatic community and government do to even deepen kind of the way in which businesses can start to develop more trade and investment profiles with each other?
Look, I think, let me start off by saying I love the fact that we're referring to Gauteng as a hub. If I compare that to Amsterdam and the hub, they also talk about digital AI hubs that they create. It attracts not only talent, but also economic support when you've got a concentration of skills within a specific region. So I would say, for starters, developing and building on the concept of a hub, and Gauteng is already standing in good state to do just that, is a great foundation for further development. If we consider innovation and business growth, historically, great ideas came via collaboration and mainly people meeting in coffee shops. It was very regionally focused. with the advancement of technology and the considerable acceleration in technology, those boundaries are now completely blurred. And what that enables is collaboration across industries, across continents. So continuing that dialogue is wonderfully powerful in order to affect change and grow. And then secondly, I would say enhancing and developing and continuously selling and telling our own stories.
Yes.
Yeah.
You know, I love what you're talking about, female entrepreneurs and the incredible work that is being done. And oftentimes those stories stay within rooms like this. And taking those stories to the broader business communities across various forums and showcasing the work that has been done is, I think, the second really powerful way to foster that.
Brilliant. Let me thank all of you as members of the panel. I really appreciate the deep insights, the inputs, the storytelling, and just being really reflective in terms of the importance of economic diplomacy. So thank you to all three of my special panel members. Really appreciate your time and inputs. Thank you.